People so
Thank you for joining us today. I call the October 21st, 2021 meeting of the Human Relations Commission order. Let's begin with an introduction of the commissioners and members, starting with the two of our new members, Sarah Boonstapel, have I said that right? And Jit Lo Kiwao.
Yes.
And if you want to say some few word about yourself.
Do I have to push it? Oh, I'm just on. Okay. I'm an assistant professor of political science and public policy at
can take the
NDSU.
mask.
I can? Okay.
So they can hear.
That probably helps, yeah. I've been in Fargo for 7.5 years, and yeah, that's it.
So what you do?
I'm assistant professor at NDSU in public policy and political science and public policy.
Awesome. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jedlo Kiao. I'm an assistant professor of special education at Minnesota State University Moorhead. I'm very proud to be serving the city of Fargo in this capacity. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And Nancy Boyle is also one of our new members, but she couldn't attend today. So I am Matura Lear, the chair.
Barry Nelson, Commissioner.
Cheryl Shavel, Commissioner.
Ahmed Shil, Commissioner.
Hamida Dakane, Commissioner.
Carolyn B. Kraft, Commissioner.
The next item is to approve the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Thank you.
I second.
Second.
Thank you. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. The next item is to approve the minute of July 15, 2021 meeting. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I make motion.
Thank you. May I get a second?
I second.
Thank you, Amita. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. The next item is the public comment. Those who wish to address the Human Relations Commission must use the sign-in sheet. The speakers must state their name and will be limited to 2 minutes. Comment should not contain profanity or personal attacks. The staff, do we have anyone sign up for the public comment? Do we have anyone in the audience? Okay, I know we have a police chief here to present to us on a hate crime. I know he has to be somewhere, so we'll move that up. Welcome.
Thank you, sir, and Commission Board members. I just wanted to make you aware of the quarterly hate crimes report that was presented to the Commission this last Monday. As part of the new city ordinances that went into effect in June, the department also provides the Commission with this quarterly report. It's also located on our department website, and right now there's a as you go to the screen, you'll see an immediate link right on the home page, but this will end up being along with the rest of our crime and other information data going forward, so you'll be able to reference that. For the quarter, July 1 through September 30th, there were 3 incidents that actually met the hate crime requirements. There were 17 reports that we looked at in which bias was possibly present. But as you may or may not be aware, there are certain parameters that are required in order for a crime to be categorized as a hate crime. And along with that, on our website is a complete explanation of what that is, as well as what the reporting mechanisms, how people can report these, and then how the prosecutions are done. So obviously the one I think most prevalent in everyone's mind, most egregious incident that occurred was back on September 21st, where we had a young African-American female who was assaulted by an adult male. That adult male was charged with a felony aggravated assault for the crime itself, along with a simple assault charge for hitting another person. But he's also, from a hate crime perspective, that assault, that injury to the person meets the FBI, the federal requirements for a hate crime violation. So the offense is not only referred to the state attorney's office for state charges, felony charges that he'll be facing, But the U.S. Attorney's Office is reviewing the case from a federal perspective as well, and he could be charged in federal court above and beyond the state aggravated assault. Just so that everyone understands with the state and the federal system, it does take the feds longer to actually initiate charges because they go through a grand jury system. So typically what a federal prosecutor will do will have a number of cases. A grand jury is called at a certain point, and that grand jury will hear a multitude of different cases and then rule on whether or not to indict the defendant. And at that juncture, then that's the indictment is then pressing of formal charges, and then the prosecution federally begins. So you may hear about this somewhere in the future, but right now that's where the case is with the feds. They've got it. I'm very confident that they're going to prosecute and pursue it based on the egregiousness of it, and it's a very, from a hate crime perspective, pretty straightforward case from my perspective. So absent any other questions about hate crimes in general or things that I can help clarify for you, I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Thank you. Any question?
Thank you for being here, and thank you for those clarifications. I think that's really helpful, particularly since we're early on in this whole process with the ordinance that's being passed in June. And certainly there's been some really good publicity, and I think you have spoken to the public really well about that. I know there was some initial confusion, and I know I raised the question initially when the news first came out. There was no reference to this appearing to be a hate crime, but I think that's been cleared up since. And I'm just wondering in the future, in terms of a policy, when the news article really does paint a picture of.
Sure. Yeah, good point. I think maybe our clarification, and it's also was referred to the FBI for that review. That's part of our policy and process, and that was clarified as well back in June when the ordinance went into effect. And so when we review all of these on a monthly basis in order to put together the quarterly report. And any case that meets the federal requirements, which require either actual assault or threat with some type of a weapon in an assault type of posture, those would, and then being able to connect it to, the fact that it was done because of the person's race, gender, ethnicity, et cetera, are the components that would make it eligible for federal prosecution, at least referral to the federal prosecutor. Anything short of that does not. That's where, in some cases, our city ordinance, which addresses harassment, criminal mischief, vandalism types of things, and simple assault with those same hate crime components could be used. And we wouldn't obviously do both, but we have actually more options now because those other crimes that the feds wouldn't take, we could pursue a city ordinance on. But thank you.
Thank you. Just one more question. Do you see as a commission, you talked about the information being on the site, which I need to go look up so I can be more informed. Is there any way that we could be doing education or outreach that would help make sure that the people that are reporting are doing it in the proper way? Or
I think just messaging it out and making that website known, because all the information is really there for folks to look at. We certainly encourage people to report these types of things. We also, ask them to understand, and in some cases, what they may feel as a hate crime, we may not have the elements of that crime to pursue it from that perspective, and that's not certainly because the police department doesn't want to. Just like with any other crime, we have to have we have to be able to show certain elements to refer it as a certain crime. So, there's an understanding educational piece to that as well, and we're always happy to come out and clarify for anybody.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Chief, for being here. My question is, there are those who don't read and write, and they cannot get information from website. How else can they report the crimes?
They can't read or write, so they
Yeah,
do
they can-
sign?
Yeah.
Sure, we can do sign. I mean, there's...
Not sign technically. I mean, there are those who don't know the language. They cannot just go to online and report what happened. So how else can they report?
So they wouldn't report it online anyway. They would actually call the dispatch center. The online is just information. It explains to you what a hate crime is, and if these types of things have happened to you, you should then call the Fargo Police Department. An officer would come out and take the complaint, and then, you know, figure out what pieces of evidence does it meet, you know, whatever requirements it needs to meet. So they would be able to have that communication. We don't just have people report that online. So whatever communication issues are in existence, we've got a language line, we've got people that can sign and things of that nature.
Okay, thank you.
So you
Any
have
other-
pardon me, so you have a language, you're able to take complaints in multiple languages?
Yeah, so AT&T has a language line that we
Uh-huh.
can utilize. Law enforcement utilizes it nationally, I believe. And they'll have people that can understand different languages and can help you decipher or translate what someone is trying to tell you. And then we've also got people in our department that speak different languages as well.
Are there ombudsman-type people in some of these various communities that have citizens that don't speak the language? I mean, that are liaison to the police department that can help them
Yeah,
navigate
oh,
this?
absolutely. Yeah, we work with those folks on a regular basis. Matur is actually one of those, I guess we would say, an ombudsman for his community. But yeah, certainly that's another option. I mean, someone can come up with someone from their community to help translate particular pieces of information or an incident. And yeah, we do that on a regular basis. Our community engagement team, a week or so ago, about a week ago, had their first multicultural advisory commission meeting. And so at that table were representatives from folks from different African countries, different Asian countries, Nepal, Bhutan, Bosnia in the European area, and different religious factions, Judaism, Islam, and someone from the local Catholic Church there too, I believe. So that group is formed specifically to grow those relationships as well, because we have a lot of groups that we regularly interact with. But, you know, there is a lot of ethnic diversity in Fargo, and there's a lot of groups that we don't have that regular interaction with. So I think they've done a lot of really great foresight in putting this group together to try and grow those relationships with all these different communities.
Thank you.
Sure.
One more question. For the Citizen Academy classes that the police departments usually offer, is this topic covered in there?
What we actually talked about with this group is bringing them into our, not a Citizen Academy, but our regular academy, if that's what you're talking about, where we train our officers. Yeah.
Both, I guess.
Yes. Well, we likely won't run a Citizen Academy because we're going to focus on Police Academy, and we also are going to have some training with one of our other advisory boards that's going to be rolling out at the beginning of the year. However, bringing those folks in to the academy so that our new officers can understand the culture better is absolutely going to happen next year, and we're also going to be exploring how we can bring those groups into our internal department training for those already on the job to understand some of the different cultures that they may come into contact with. A Citizen Academy is not a bad idea, but generally, if we were focusing on multicultural, then yes, I agree and that's what this group is. And so this group is going to get a lot of training and information similar to what I think you're talking about with the Citizens Academy, so they have a better understanding. We gave them a traffic stop presentation actually last week as well, to again increase that knowledge and kind of help educate all these different folks who have different backgrounds, different experiences, that kind of thing.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other question? Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Is there anyone present who want to speak but yet not sign up in the public comment? Nope. Thank you. We have Dr. Terry Hogan today to present on his strategies to integrate his mission and vision as the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Director with the Human Relations Commission. Welcome, sir.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you so kindly. First and foremost, to the chair, the HRC commissioners, liaison members, and the residents of this great city of Fargo. It is a pleasure to be with you today and to serve in this capacity. I've been tasked, asked, and appointed to serve as liaison on this great commission. My name is Dr. Terry Hogan. I am the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion in the city of Fargo. I am excited, more so thrilled, to be chosen to serve on this great commission of dedicated volunteers. However, I have also been tasked and asked to share a brief summation of my vision in regards to this HRC commission. First and foremost, this is a new beginning for those of us who are new to this commission. I want the city of Fargo to know we are here to serve you, the people, the citizens, and its residents. We would have a listening ear of urgency to your complaint, problems, and/or situations. As some of you may know, I was a former professor of political science and sociology in higher ed, while consulting in diversity, equity, and inclusion. Why I am saying this is because educating the public on what we do in regards to civil rights is a priority. I think education is one of the most vital and pivotal points in our American value system towards having the residents of Fargo to understand what we do in regards to civil rights issues. What is civil rights? Civil rights are the basic rights that every citizen has under the laws of its government, regardless of one's race, creed, color, sexual orientation, disabilities, LGBTQ, and other characteristics. Number two, implement, follow up, follow through. In other words, I want that to be the philosophy of this commission. When a person or citizens or even residents come in front of this board, I want them to know, in fact, is that we have a listening ear, and that listening ear is urgent. Number three, lastly, we are in the process of changing the name of HRC to Human Rights. And with that being said, that is work in progress. Thank you so much.
Any other question from the commissioners?
Thank you for that presentation, and I, for one, look forward to learning more about what you plan to do. I have a question. Will you have staff?
Eventually, I will.
Okay,
This is the beginning process, so we're thinking probably at the beginning of January, things should be in place. Absolutely.
yeah, staff and a budget.
I'm sorry?
Staff and a budget,
Absolutely.
that's music to my ears. That's very good. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. I wanted you to bring up the police oversight committee.
Well,
So-
yes. With that, I am going to be the ex officio on that particular board. The board is in the beginning stages right now. We should have some things up and becoming probably in early January. But as it stands right now is that we're looking to separate the issues of HRC or / the human relations from the police oversight review boards. For example, when the chief of police just spoke on the hate crime ordinance, that will not be up under our umbrella. That will be in reference to the police oversight review board. So we are going to concentrate more so on civil rights issues only. So with that being said, if there's any criminal behavior or, as the chief said, criminal mischief or things like that come forth, then I will direct you to that department.
Thank you very much. Any other question? Follow-up question? Abdul?
Mr. Chairman, this is Abdul and Dr. Hogan. Thank you for presenting. Can you elaborate, explain a little bit about transition of changing the name HRC to Human Rights? Can you explain a little bit about that?
Well, One thing that I would like to say is that, in my experience, the government agencies that I've been involved with, we've always had the name of human rights, which deals with civil rights. And not in fact is that, is that the human relation is a off-brand name. We find is that there's more impact when you have the name with the subject heading, which is civil rights, which gets into human rights perspectives.
And I think was something that we had discussed it in the past, and somebody was supposed to follow up. I don't recall exactly who was supposed to follow up on the name change.
Actually, we
was-
did have a meeting with the city attorney, and they were supposed to be evaluating and coming back with a recommendation and language. And you're right, we hadn't heard anything about that.
What I have done in regards to the the human rights perspective, is that I did give the attorneys a call that work in the premises of Fargo. And they gave me the okay that it wouldn't be any discrepancies to change the name from the Human Relations to the Human Rights Committee. Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Dr. Hogan, thank you. I appreciate your leadership in this. I fully support this idea of really getting our brand clear and strong in front of the community. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Second, thank you, Mr. Dr. Hogan.
Thank you.
Here she is.
I haven't been, I've been recently involved. I'm Nancy Morris. I'm the Assistant City Attorney. And I think that it would be beneficial. You're having a discussion about the Human Relations, Human Rights Commission, but I don't know that we have had a motion to recommend that the change be made to the City Commission. And at that point, then, it is a decision of the City Commission as to whether it becomes Human Rights or Human Relations. But I think it would be beneficial if this body made a motion and approved that change to move forward to City Commission approval.
Thank you very much.
I move that we forward to the City Commission the recommendation to change the name of the Human Relations Commission to the Human Rights Commission.
I'll second
Second
that.
that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, the same sign. Motion passed. Thank you very much. We try to cut corners here. Okay, in June, the HRC moved to support the City of Fargo staff and Work Group 1, Caroline and Cody, to administer a survey on what kind of issue local organization and their client may be facing regarding resolving discriminations and the civil right-based complaints. The survey was intended as a preliminary step to more in-depth interview and discussion moving forward. The survey results are attached. Do any member have any comment or questions?
I have a question. Many of these recommendations or issues brought forward are around housing and housing discrimination. And one of the recommendations it was, and I don't know if this is something that Fargo has, but for those that are renters, is there a education or a way of educating them on discrimination policies, et cetera, that can give some teeth to some of the complaints that we see? I don't know if that makes sense. It just seems that it's a recommendation, and I don't know how or if the City of Fargo regulates those who rent apartments and so forth or not.
Yeah, I can speak to that a bit. So the City of Fargo partners closely with High Plains Fair Housing to take on most of that housing-related education, and we actually provide some federal funding to kind of check that box as well. So I think they would be very interested in collaborating with you folks as a platform to get the word out. But sometimes you can hear even their advertisements on the radio or other forms of media because they're doing a lot to get the word out.
But is there anything that can hold landlords accountable?
If you're talking about like a rental registry, that's been a long-going conversation. I'm not exactly sure where it's at right now, but I could get back to you on that.
Well, that seems like a good place to start, I would think. Thank you.
I think the other thing the High Plains Fair Housing does, they do the testing program where they will actually check to see if there are disparate rental going on to various communities, and they will report, they will address it if it does surface where there has been clear discrimination in who the renter has been allowing to get the property. So we did have High Plains present to us. That's getting to be quite a while ago. Might be a good conversation to have again with them. They do great presentations, have a great presence in the community.
Because coming through in the survey, much of the housing concerns are from various immigrant communities who may not have the, again, it goes back to an ombudsman or how, what are their rights and how can they be enforced if in fact there is a valid discrimination. So I would welcome some more information on that.
Thank you. Any other comments? Do HRC members have any announcements? Okay, the next item is.
Mr. Chair, I do, sorry. I didn't jump in fast enough. I just wanted to mention two things I gave to each of the commissioners. There's the 12th Annual Human Rights Summit and 5th Annual Human Rights Film Festival coming up November 2nd through the 6th in Fargo. The panels will be it will be in person at the Plains Art Museum, and the films will be shown at Fargo Theater in the afternoon and evening. This will be the first year that the all activities will be provided free of charge. There was some corporate fundraising that went into this, so anybody can come free of charge to any of the activities. There is requirement. We wanted to make sure we ensured safety for everybody who attended, so this will be a proof of vaccine required and wearing masks, and there will be social spacing in the space as well. So there will be requirements, but this is going to be an incredible event. So I encourage you to go to their webpage to check out more, hrff.org, to check on that. And then I have another announcement as well, if you would. That is that the North Dakota Legislature will be called to special session the week of November 8th. And their two primary purposes are to distribute monies from the COVID monies that has come into the state. There have been certain groups that have been really advocating about putting money toward childcare and childcare assistance, because that is a great deficit in the state. So some advocacy there, and then there will also be redistricting. We're watching, however, because there might be bad bills introduced. So we are staying vigilant to make sure there's not homophobic and transphobic bills slipped in during the session. So we're asking everybody to kind of keep their radar on for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements?
Yeah, why are you not telling people we are getting married? That's the announcement.
Oh,
You and me. Joke it.
oh, me?
Joke it.
I thought I was married.
You did hear it? Yeah.
All right. The next item is a staff update. See the report in your packet. Do any staff want to speak to any updates in the report?
Yeah, I'll just mention a couple items from the staff report. Number one, please continue to refer anyone who needs rental assistance to 211, AKA First Link. You just have to call 211 and they'll get you connected. And I also wanted to plug a weatherization open house that's occurring this coming Tuesday, October 26th, that can help people improve the efficiency of their home as winter comes. So that's at Community Action from 10:30 to 12:30. That's all.
Thank you. HRC members, are there any question on any item in the staff report? No? Going once? Okay. Is there any other businesses? Hearing none, this meeting of the Human Relations Commission stand adjourned. Our next meeting is scheduled for November 18 at noon, and it will be here. Thank you all for coming.